SEM Sem Obedantem with the video of the day, throwing back on a Thursday, helping to appreciate how music was quite a few years ago here in Ghana. But then talking about what is happening globally, I mean, yes, we are now in a global village, so we cannot lose sight of what is happening elsewhere. And it's quite unfortunate what happened in the United States of America yesterday, while Charlie Kirk, who is, 31-year-old conservative, who really was rallying young people and also having debates on campuses. In Utah yesterday, he was shot on a university campus while he was, having one of his usual debates. This is something that, he found a turning point in America in 2012. So this guy, even when he was a teenager, has been championing conservative ideas, challenging young people to also see from his political standpoint. And it's so sad that yesterday, in one of such encounters, he got shot. And as it stands now, police is yet to have made a significant arrest. Earlier arrests that were made, police had to go or let go of the people because clearly they had no linkages whatsoever to the shooting. Now, FBI tells us that the shooter shot from around 200 yards away and was spotted in dark clothes. Unfortunately, that person has not been found yet. And Donald Trump, the president of the United States of America, is completely distraught. And he took to social media to also post something regarding the death of the man Charlie. And so you can see that on your screens. That's a picture that Donald Trump took with Charlie. Mind you, Charlie campaigned strongly for Donald Trump in 2016, in 2020, and even in 2020. Donald J. Trump says the great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. In the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he's no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and family. Charlie, we love you. And so that's the announcement that Donald Trump made last night, a few hours after Charlie was shot in the afternoon of yesterday on the Utah University campus. And police, as we speak, are still investigating the matter. And at 31 years old, you would ask so many questions because, yes, he was married to Erica and they had 2 children. Charlie leaves all these behind. And it's believed strongly that the incident was linked to his political activism, and people who disagreed with him clearly might be behind this. But then it's a point in time where America also needs to consider the surge in violence when it comes to politics there. The man Donald Trump himself has survived 2 attempts on his life. There are others who've also survived. Some, unfortunately, did not make it. And Charlie is one of those people who had to bow out of the world as a result of violence that is linked to politics. And so it's not just in Africa that we are seeing these insecurity issues. And mind you, the Second Amendment has been very topical in the United States. And I've heard from some people that, international media spoke to about the passing of Charlie. And they say, well, he spoke strongly in favor of the Second Amendment and how people can, their rights to ownership of guns and all of those things, because that has been a very big issue in America. Issues regarding control of guns, ammunition, and all of that. And Charlie going out in such fashion. And the interesting bit is that this event he was holding, which is not new to people in the university community in the United States of America, had about 3,000 people who had gathered. Now, strangely, only 6 police personnel were deployed to the ground to handle this event. And one would think that looking at a crowd of 3,000, you would want to beef up numbers. But then I've also listened to experts in the United States of America who say that, well, this is not new to what Charlie does. And he has his own security at such events. And usually, as a university community, it's always been just, talk it's been democracy at display. There's been no incidents of violence related to any of his Turning Point America talks in the various campuses in the United States of America. And so 6 police personnel were deployed to this particular gathering. And the unfortunate happened.
To my great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus.
We're focusing on what happened yesterday. Last night at the Jubilee House, President John Dramani Mahama had his maiden press encounter in his second term as president of the land, and he invited journalists across the country to come for a conversation. And we were there. EIB, we represented as well. We also posed some questions to President John Dramani Mahama. Ibrahim Al-Hassan is head of current affairs here at the EIB network, and he's joined me. Ibrahim, so yesterday, before the encounter, we said there were things we didn't want to hear.
Exactly.
You heard some?
Yes, I think, we had some, but they also listened to us, so it was
minimal.
They toned down on it. Yes, I think you guys did well, and I'm talking about the journalists who showed up. You asked many of the questions on the minds of many Ghanaians, and of course those who were there and could not even get the opportunity to ask questions. Those who had the opportunity asked those questions. And of course, true to expectation, you asked many questions on Galamsey. In fact, the Galamsey questions were repetitive, but for the better. We got to get answers from the president, because if Ghana Water Company Limited is threatening us that we'll have to pay more because of Galamsey, if our environment is being dissipated because of Galamsey, if our water bodies are being, of course, it suffices to say that, and especially when this was a very topical political campaign message in the run-up to the 2024 elections, of course, we needed to extract some assurances from the president, right? But I was not surprised by his answers. I had mentioned yesterday that, yes, the engagement was going to be a friendly one, because not so much water has passed under the bridge for the president to be pinned down on. It's mostly going to be about extracting assurances, and that's exactly what we got. Your question to him on the declaration of the state of emergency, poignant and straight to the point, right? His answer was also to expectation. See, in 2024, before the elections, the clamor was declare state of emergency, right? The rhetoric was that was not the right time to do that, and that was not the ultimate solution, because we had the military out there, we had the task force, we had many other things that we're doing, right? Now, fast forward, we are in 2025. This government has fought Galamsey for the past, give or take, 6 months, right?
Yeah.
Are we winning the fight? You can't say an emphatic yes. You can't. You can't. Is there something being done? Yes. Is that enough? No. But then, is the answer declaration of state of emergency? Because mind you, we've been here before. And Akufo-Addo, small-scale mining was banned entirely.
Yeah, there was that moratorium.
Yes, entirely. And I remember I was at the program which had stakeholders engaged here in Accra. And I remember the criticism there then was that we cannot have stakeholders engaged in a conversation in Accra, a dialogue in Accra, when there's no Galamsey in Accra. And that it was going to amount to nothing. Guess what? They were right. Those who had those concerns were right. Because in the end, the drones that we had procured to even deploy, and I was there, we could not deploy them. Here we are. There's always a political price to pay for inaction. The president has a luxury of time. He has more than 3 years to explore all the options that he talked about before he gets to the ultimate if need, because that was the answer he gave you.
Yeah.
That, as it stands now, there are many other options on the table that can be deployed. For the first time, he talked about the Blue Guards in a different form and shade, because we've always been told about if the military who had the firepower could not succeed in the fight against Galamsey.
What would the young water guards be able to achieve?
Exactly. The president then explains that, no, they are not supposed to go and fight the Galamseyers. They are going to dismantle their installations on the water bodies. So the chamfans and what have you. So if we are able to train many more of them for them to police all our water bodies, chances are nobody will show up again to mine on the water body. That's the explanation.
Right.
When we get there, we'll be able to find out if indeed this works. But like I said, if this doesn't work, the Gen Zs will pour out on the street again as they did under Akufo-Addo, right? The environmentalists will still keep piling up pressure. Labour joined.
Yeah.
So like I said, this was expected. The president saying that, see, I know what I'm doing. We are deploying ABCD. We'll get there. We'll get to know when he's hesitating as whether he's been able to get there or not.
I agree with you on the score that it's early days yet in his administration. But then the same president told us last night that even though they've been able to reclaim 9 forest reserves, he's realized that one of the forest reserves has Galamsey operatives returning.
Exactly.
So clearly these people are not ready to back down.
That's where...
They are not ready to let go of what puts food on their table.
I agree.
And that's why when he was done with that, I still felt that the question on illegal mining was not exhausted. Now, when you listen to the president, even in his open remarks, he talks about illegal mining, goes to talk about other things, and comes back to illegal mining.
Yes.
Who tells you the gravity of the situation at hand?
It's important.
And that's why I felt that, okay, if you say steps are being taken to deal with LI 2462, to repeal it, that's fine. Even with that, people are returning back. They are returning to the same forest reserves you have claimed with military power, with the total force.
Yes.
And they are returning.
Joshua, that's a good point you have made. In fact, you have just summed up everything I have said, and this is why. See, as we speak, are the military armed or not? They are. The police men and women who are visiting the Galamsey site, are they armed or not? They are. Good. As we speak now, have we opened the doors to mining activities in forest reserve because the LI has not been repealed? No. Those that were driven from one of the forests, which has now been reoccupied, the military drove them away, right?
Yeah, they did.
If we declare a state of emergency, which individuals will be enforcing it? The same military, right? With the same firepower. What difference would that make? It's about we coming to the firm conclusion that we want to fight this. It doesn't matter whether we have declared a state of emergency or not. The people who have reoccupied the forest, let's go there and flush them out. And that we don't even need to repeal the LI to do that. It's just about a willingness to say that let's go back there and flush them out. Now, Forest Reserve, you related to his promise that the LI will be repealed when Parliament resumes.
Yeah.
With that said, what that means is that we are saying no to any mining activity in our forest reserve. Right. We can only hope that what we are witnessing today, where they've been driven away and they've returned, will not, because they can do so with impunity if we do not deploy the military and then other security agencies with the firepower to be able to stop it.
To be fair to the president, he also mentioned that he's now going to ensure that there is a permanent stay of the security personnel at that particular forest reserve. Because it looks like, Charlie, once people know that there is gold here,
they will always show up. They will always show up. And of course, when we talk about alternative livelihoods for Galamseyers, right? I've been around long enough to know that it doesn't work. Because, see, no alternative livelihood arrangement can give you a quarter of what you get when you just go there and wash the soil. You see them just washing the soil, right? So let's just disabuse the minds of our people, our young people, that yes, there is some gains to be made from Galamsey, but that's not the way to go. Just as armed robbery pays, but we all know that that's not the way to go, right? Absolutely. Just as prostitution pays, but we all know that that's not the way to go. We should conscientize our young people to also know that, yes, there's money in Galamsey, but that's not the way to go.
Instead of telling
there's
them
no alternative.
Stop Galamsey, we give you something else to do.
No! Let them know that it's an illegality and it doesn't pay to do it in the long run, because you are destroying the same environment that protects you. That's the way to go. Alternative, no.
Quite interesting. So Galamsey was hot yesterday, and for those of you who missed out on that, let's bring you the president's response on issues regarding illegal mining.
The Galamsey fight, because we've not exhausted the powers we even have without a state of emergency. We have the opportunity to arrest anybody, to confiscate any such thing. There are laws for forest protection and all that give us enough powers to be able to act. Implementing a state of emergency might sound nice, but it should be the last extreme, the last resort. So for now, let's exercise all the powers we have. And if it becomes necessary for a state of emergency, then we'll look at it. It means we have to go to Parliament. The president can't just declare a state of emergency without, going to Parliament, because there's a limit to how long you can maintain that state of emergency. And so I believe that we still have leverage to continue to fight Galamsey without necessarily implementing a state of emergency. It means that we have to delineate the areas where the state of emergency is operational. And if you look at the area where Galamsey is taking place, it covers several districts of our country. And so we would do it if it becomes necessary. But for now, I think that we've given the security services enough powers to be able to deal with people who are found to be involved in Galamsey.
So that's the president's response to my question posed to him yesterday. He says, well, we've not exhausted all the options on the table, and so calling for a state of emergency, and he used the word reluctant. He says he's very reluctant when it comes to that. But aside the issues of Galamsey, what else stood out for you yesterday?
Well, so, yes, true to expectation, we expected the president to talk about the city. The president had in the past mentioned that the city will find its level, and to his mind, the level should be between 10 to 12 cities, right? The city has a mind of its own. It's gone a little above 12, right? But the president still reiterated that point that, yes, a steeper appreciation and a steeper depreciation will be counterproductive. But his assurance, and now that assurance will hold him by, is that in a year, the movement should not be above 5%, right? And that is something any businessman can plan with. If you know that plus or minus whatever budget estimate you are putting across, plus or minus 5% will be what the fluctuation of the local currency will cost you. Why not? It's okay. Because, to be honest, when the cedi appreciated at that level, where it got to just a little over 10 Ghana cedis, there were many people who felt the pinch.
And the president even mentioned it, that people who were remitting cash to Ghana for building projects and all of that, they realized that they had to stop projects because the money was not having the weight to do anything else.
Exactly.
So you were just sending so much to achieve very little here.
The counter argument then was that the iron rods that you needed, the other building materials, the prices had equally dropped as a result, right? But nonetheless, there must be an equilibrium. And I'm sure that's what the president is talking about. The president made a revelation that was quite startling, that people go for dollars ostensibly to import stuff, goods. The dollars are sent out of the country, the goods never come back. And so there's a paper trail and investigations are ongoing. Yes, we appeal to the president to make the outcome of these investigations public. So we're going to, because it can serve as a deterrent to many others who do that. When they do that, what happens is that they weaken the local currency and they strengthen the other trading currencies, i.e. the dollar especially. So it's good that we all get to know that if you go for dollars in the name of importing things into the country,
let's see the goods return.
That is it. That is it. So all in all, I think, there are people who are not so excited about the fact that you guys were not pointy on the removal of the Chief Justice and what have you. But I think the questions came in different forms. The president answered, talking about the Supreme Leader and what have you. Yes. So that, in essence, talking about the removal of the Chief Justice, right? Maybe people wanted a direct question as to, for instance, how difficult was such a decision, regardless of the fact that the Constitution stipulates that once the recommendation comes from the committee, the president is bound to implement.
And I feel it's one of the issues that we've flogged over and over again. Because, I mean, it was new to us. We've never seen that thing happen in this country. And so consistently we're impressing the government, and we kept hearing from government communicators. We heard from the presidency itself. I mean, Felix had to sign quite a number of statements to explain all of that. And so I'm sure that is why a lot of people shied away from that particular development. Bernard Avle asked the question, and that was when he asked the president that, people say that the way things are going, we could have him becoming the Supreme Leader. And let's watch that particular response from the president to that question on the Chief Justice.
I'm in danger of becoming a supreme leader. Look in my face, do I look like a supreme leader? And that is to paraphrase Prof. Star. At times, do I look like a cat hunter? Do I look like a supreme leader? I'm a Democrat true and true. And even when we attained 2/3 of parliament, I said that we're not going to use it to ride roughshod over the minority, and that we're going to give opportunity for democracy to flourish. And so we don't intend to use our 2/3 majority to steamroll our democracy. We believe that even though the people of Ghana gave us that overwhelming majority, it wasn't meant to turn Ghana into a dictatorship. They gave it to us in order that we could carry out reforms to make our governance better. And I think that we stand a very good chance with that 2/3 majority to finally move the amendments to the Constitution that we have all wanted. In the past, because of hung parliaments and all that, we couldn't make any progress, because there are some of those amendments for which you need an overwhelming majority. And so Ghanaians have given us that opportunity and say, look, go ahead and do these things so that we can have a better constitution that will take Ghana for many more generations to come. And so that's what I believe. But I certainly am not on the way to becoming a supreme leader or an autocrat.
Right, so that's the president. He's not on the way to becoming a supreme leader. So don't be expecting anything of the sort from him.
Yes.
But my colleague Benis Abubeidu Lansa also posed a question about rent, and whether or not we are going to see the reset agenda really hit that sector as well. Because I know that ending this year, quite a lot of people will have to renew rents for the coming year. And the big question is, do you have to still cough up all these thousands of cedis to your landlord or landlady to renew your tenancy? But let's take a listen to that, and then we'll come back and have that conversation.
Benis Abubeidu Lansa, I'm a broadcast journalist with GHOne television. In your speech, you mentioned that you are committed to resetting institutions. But there are many Ghanaians watching us tonight who are either on the verge of homelessness or are struggling to get money to rent, not because they don't have money, but because we are not sticking to our rent laws. I just want to ask when your reset agenda will reach the housing sector, particularly for the State Housing Company Limited, in putting up real affordable homes for many Ghanaians, and the Rent Control Department in protecting vulnerable Ghanaians.
Thank you very much.
Very good question on rent and homelessness, and I'm happy to give you the microphone to ask it. The biggest expenditure in any Ghanaian's budget is rent. And even though we have laws, enforcing them has been difficult. The rent law says that a landlord cannot charge more than 6 months. But the problem in enforcing the law is the connivance of the tenant and the landlord. The tenant won't come and report that they are charging him 1 year's rent advance because he wants the room. And so that has been the problem. And the problem is because our population is growing beyond our housing capacity. So the competition for accommodation and housing is very strong. And that is why we must expand our housing coverage. And I remember in our manifesto, we have a pledge to expand housing. And in the next budget, we're going to make provision for that. I've already had a discussion with some of the associations, the organized labor associations. Some of them have funds that are sitting in their accounts, and they have members who want houses. So what I've said is government will match their funds. And so if they give 1 billion cedis, we will give 1 billion cedis. And then one of the banks, Republic Bank, has said that they are willing to also match with 1 billion cedis. So if we get a 3 billion cedi fund, we can start building houses in all the districts. And as people pay their down payments, it will go back into the fund and it will become a revolving fund. And governments can give it to people. I said if you have like about 15 to 20 years before retirement, you can take a house and we'll be deducting from your salary monthly so that by the time your retirement time is up, you have your own accommodation to go to. And as we take those deductions, they will go back into the fund. So it becomes like a revolving fund so that we can increase the housing stock. But the Minister of Finance will talk about that when he reads the budget in November.
Right, so that's the President's response to Bernice Abubaidu Lansah's question on rent and reset. And the President's also providing some clarity there. Yeah. And so overall, how would you say we performed? Oh, especially the ones you sent from here.
Yes, you did. You did marvelously well. So you heard the President talk about how excited he was that Bernice got the opportunity to ask this question because I remember how Phyllis was struggling to even identify her.
Yeah, the lady in a lot of black and white. Okay, she has a lot of white.
Yeah.
So the one with a lot of white.
You see, yes, but of course, that's why, and I'm sure lessons also will be learned by the organizers, right?
Right.
I think as much as possible, let's limit the numbers. But as much as possible, too, let's allow as many people as possible, especially from media houses. See, there are a few media houses that have a number of outlets, right? When you come to EIB, we have Star FM, we have Kasapa, we have Ago TV, we have GHOne TV, right? Just here in Accra, right? If you indicate, and then we have many on-air people, right? This is an opportunity for the President. Imagine Bernice had not showed up. Imagine you had not asked a question about state of emergency. Go and look at Daily Graphic this morning. Yeah. Your question and answer is the banner headline. And we all know the struggles you have to go through before you got the opportunity to access this, right? So I'm sure all of us, lessons learned. Kudos to the media people. You ask relevant questions, right?
Absolutely.
And trust me, I'm not somebody who just offer praise for praise sake, right? But you did. You did. So lesson learned. Moving forward, I think the next one will be much better than this.
Absolutely.
Much more improved than this.
Absolutely. Ibrahim Alasan, thank you so much. That's the head of current affairs here at the EIB Network. Let's bring you sports charts. So Jones ADZI is here with the sports. Jones, good morning.
Good morning.
I hope you're doing well.
I'm all right.
Fantastic. So what's happening in sports?
Well, we'll start off with the new Premier League season. And I heard you guys talk about President Mahama and all that. I mean, he talked about some stadium issues and then stadia and all that. But then tomorrow, the President would be at the Accra Sports Stadium. And when you see this video of his kickoff, yes, when the President's Cup happened, President Mahama giving us that kickoff there. Tomorrow, it is expected that at the Accra Sports Stadium, he would also be the guest of honor when Accra Suffolk face GHOne United in the new Premier League season. And then, of course, we'll also get to see some of the ticket prices for tomorrow and also get to listen to Coach of Accra Suffolk. But then there you see it confirmed. President John Dramani Mahama will be there. And then Stone Boy would be the performing artist at tomorrow's kickoff there. And also there's a curtain raiser where we see Auroras take on the Black Starlets at 4 p.m. The game itself will be at 7 p.m. Now let's see the tickets for tomorrow. If you want to be at the Accra Sports Stadium tomorrow, well, you just bring 30 cedis for the popular stand. Center line, 50 cedis. Lower VIP, 100 cedis. Upper VIP, 150 cedis. And VVIP tomorrow, if you want to sit around the President, 200 cedis. And then you can be there for that game there. So Hearts of Oak take on GHOne United. Well, coach of Accra Suffolk, Coach Didi Dramani, has revealed that his team is ready to compete in all the competitions this season as they first for kickoff with GHOne United.
So competes, adversely in all the competitions across, the structure of our football in Ghana. And so going in the early season against GHOne United tells that we need to package ourselves strongly and stay consistent and more sustainable in terms of all the competitions of the year.
coach of Accra Folk, who are in action tomorrow at 7 p.m. Still on the Ghana Premier League, though, Vision FC have revealed a partnership with Banahini Medical Center. We understand and of course, GFA president was there yesterday and has urged clubs to come forth with partnerships like this. And it means that for all their medical needs, this is going to be what Vision FC will be looking to. And let's just get to listen to Kodjo Kweku speaking at yesterday's partnership.
I am extremely happy because I'm here on the invitation of Banahini Specialist Hospital and Vision's World to announce an important marriage. A marriage that is very much needed in the lives of both entities. A marriage, I believe, will travel for better and for worse. A marriage that will impact on the youth of this enclave and beyond. A marriage that potentially will provide hope and opportunities and well-being to the people of our dear country.
So, Kodjo Kweku, president, speaking at Vision FC's partnership with Banahini Specialist Hospital. We urge all the clubs to go all out and then get the safety of your players. Let's end off with basketball because yesterday there was action at the University of Ghana Stadium, and of course we saw the police beating the Navy in the women's division. Of course, 75-72. Interesting game it was. 3 points game. 3 points game for the police against the Navy. Big one yesterday. And in the men's division, well, the GRA basketball team, who everyone has been talking about, were destroyed, were whitewashed by the Spintex Knights, 41-84 in the men's division there. All right, that should do it for the sports chat this morning. But then, do join us for the game at exactly 1 p.m. where we'll be telling you all about the Ghana Premier League, the new Premier League season, and then all you need to know. Of course, there's a Star Sports Digest at exactly 12:30 on Star 103.5 FM as well. But then, Josh, before I go in, I have to greet my whole people. This time around, Global Evangelical Church, Mauli Estate in Ho. This Sunday, we have Hearts of Worship. Right. And it be me, I'll be the MC. God sings, I don't know. All right. So, 5 p.m., Global Evangelical Church, Mauli Estate.
Jones ADZI bringing us sports chat. But let's look at what the papers are reporting this morning. We kick-start this morning with the Daily Searchlight newspaper. And the Daily Searchlight is reporting Abronye's arrest. IGP should know better. This according to the NPP. Also 2 dead after military operations at mining concession turns violent. Africa's Green Transition Economic, Social and Justice Court's new UNUINRA report is under investigation, and that was also revealed by President Mahama at yesterday's media encounter. The Daily Guide is what I have next. Baumia slams NDC over power abuse. There's also MP regional minister clash over slum demolition. Well, that's somewhere in the western region, I'm told. And 4 arrested with 315 parcels of Indian hemp. And GTech shuts down 149 unaccredited learning centers. And that's the Daily Guide for you this morning. The Ghanaian Times newspaper, biodiversity destruction. Ghana loses $520 million annually, according to the UNDP. Also, fire raises 8 houses. Breather here and return with the breakfast review segment. Well, thank you so much for staying on with us. Welcome to the Breakfast Review segment of the show. But before we get into the conversation this morning, I'm asking you a question. How well do you know Ghana? You know, some of us, we are quick to say, oh, I'm Ghanaian, but all you know is Accra. And I'm asking why. So you know what? From the 26th to the 28th of September, this very month, 2025, let's explore some two regions, the central and the western regions, because GHOne Television is partnering Sky Cloud Travel Limited, and we're bringing you a very wonderful and exciting adventure to these two regions. Get to explore all the tourist sites in their regions, talking about the Kakum National Park, the Nzulezu Silt Village, and museums that you did not even know existed. Well, that's what this trip is about. From the 26th of September to the 28th of September. It's a weekend that you cannot afford to miss out on. Now, the good news is that we would also be spending time in some really amazing resorts, talking about the Buzia Beach Resort and the Elmina Beach Resort, also in the enclave. And you know what these resorts come with? Quality food, good vibes, good music, exciting people that you meet, and also it provides an opportunity for networking. So from the 26th, which is a Friday, to the 28th of September, we're bringing you this amazing adventure. All you need to do is to pay 3,990 cedis if you're going alone. But if you're going as a double, you're going double with a partner, you're paying 6,690 cedis. But if you want to share room also, that option is available for just 3,490 Ghana cedis. So quickly, call the sales department to get more details and know how to also make payments for this. Remember, the seats are really limited, so very few slots available. So make that call now and get to be a part of this wonderful adventure to discover the central and the western regions. Remember, it's brought to you in partnership, GHOne Television, in partnership with Sky Cloud Travel Limited. And so please don't miss out on this particular adventure. But now, let's get into the conversations on the Breakfast Review segment. And one of my guests is seated. Shortly, we'll also be joined by my other guests to explore quite a number of interesting topics, especially yesterday's press encounter with President John Dramani Mahama. We'll also be touching base on the Abronia situation and also look at some other issues of national interest. My guest is Dr. Elvis Botha. He is former Deputy National Organizer of the New Patriotic Party. And later on, Hamza Suini will also be joining us from the camp of the NDC to have the discussions. But let me start a conversation with Dr. Botha. Doc, welcome.
Thank you, my brother. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well.
You look splendid.
Thank you.
Your necktie, I must carry away after the program. The Jinyame symbol is very much African.
Opulence ties made this one in Accra, Ghana. A very young man who is doing wonderful things.
Great. Yes. Tell him there are other young men here who admire his work.
Absolutely.
Well, but just to add, I'm also a lecturer at the University of Professional Studies, UPSA.
Oh,
it's
fantastic.
only important I give that credence to my university this morning, being on national television.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But how have you been?
No, graces abound. As you know, we are managing life. Everyone is a manager in this country, and fundamentally, when you realize that the country is not moving in the direction the masses are expecting, then it further actually increases your frustration, because what that means is that the stability of the nation is not guaranteed. Your personal security and mine are not guaranteed. And that is what we are witnessing at the moment in this country, the extreme partisan politicization of critical issues. And I know you'll be delving into them, but the evidence are already vivid, and it's been transgovernmental. I think that I wake up every morning being sad when I do comparative political analysis of our country and the real tangible progress that is happening in other countries. And so the government must stop talking too much and act too much in the manner we talk when we are in opposition. Basically that.
Quite interesting, because yesterday the president sought to provide updates on situations in the country, answer questions from journalists. He talked about a myriad of issues, from illegal mining to oral, where he mentioned that about 200 cases are actually under investigation, among others. Generally, what do you make of that press encounter yesterday?
Well, let me now take the opportunity to say good morning to your production team and also to our cherished viewers out there. Of the many channels people have chosen to follow us this morning on GHOne, we give shout-outs to all of them. As to my position on the president's media encounter yesterday, I just want to, first of all, commend that it is a progressive thing that our leaders mount the stage to interact with the nation through the media. Indeed, it's not the first of its kind. I personally have witnessed a number of them. True. President Akufo-Addo did similar, so it's always a good thing. But the question is, what next? What again? And most importantly, to what extent do these leaders actually interrogate the reality on the ground? To what extent do they speak the truth? To what extent do they mean what they tell us when we have those encounters with them? Therein lies the source of my worry. And so that picture is very much so reflective of what we saw yesterday. Yesterday, I watched the program from beginning, actually, to end. And the president, whilst he did well in a number of issues, I feel that particularly on the issue of Galamsey and oral, there is much to be desired. There are unanswered questions. The president's posture on illegal mining and Galamsey, I saw as not serious. His stance on the issue of illegal mining, I saw hypocritical. His stance on oral, I saw troubling. And so when we go into the specific of these issues you have mentioned, I will espouse my objective analysis.
So on illegal mining, the president mentioned that quite a number of measures have been implemented. The Blue Water Guards are consistently monitoring the water bodies. He mentioned that 9 forest reserves have been reclaimed, even though one has been reoccupied by illegal miners, and that the security would be permanent in that particular forest reserve to ensure that they are stamped out. He talked about the fact that his government has been able to seize quite a number of shangfans and other things that are used for illegal mining. And what is hypocritical about that?
I will tell you what is hypocritical about this. Everything you have said is good. But you know what? I believe you were in this country ahead of elections 2024.
I was.
The issue of illegal mining and Galamsey, I must say that is an issue we shouldn't belittle in this country. You know, what that means is that our ecological security is undermined, food security is undermined. There are health implications arising from this approach of illegal mining and actually unregulated mining. And we must not forget that the scope must actually include irresponsible mining for even those with licensing. Now, these circumstances and these conversations took a central stage ahead of elections 2024. You remember the demonstrations and the rhetorics led by people like Professor Jampo calling for a state of emergency. You recall that these leading members of this government, 8 cronies, and again the likes of Professor Jampo, who hid under the clouds of academia, and scholarship to speak, were actually bastardizing the government of the day then, demonized the Akufo-Addo's regime, and actually indicated that governance was at the height of irresponsibility for the failure of Akufo-Addo to have proceeded to declare a state of emergency. Whilst that narrative lingered, the NDC made campaign with Galamsey and illegal mining. On the one hand, they were fighting government to declare a state of emergency. On the other hand, they were on the ground campaigning and promising people that they will allow them mine when they come to power. Now, when you politicize an issue like this, it becomes very complicated. Today, 9 months, almost 10 months in government, we have not seen action beyond grammar. We've not seen action. What stopped an astute politician who diagnosed all the problems of Ghana in opposition and have come into power for 9 months, and we've not really seen you doing the things you once held another government to do. So it is clear that on illegal mining, the current NDC administration actually used Ghanaians, Galamsey to convince Ghanaians to vote them into power. Let us agree we have been used. I supported their position then. So 9 months down the line, what has stopped President Mahama from embarking on the declaration of a state of emergency?
I asked him that question yesterday.
You asked that question yesterday.
And then his answer was that we've not explored all avenues yet.
So
let's explore the avenues.
No. At the time he was loud-mouthed about it in opposition, he didn't know that the sitting government also had to explore other options and to exhaust them. But let's confront the matter objectively, because this issue of Galamsey is a national security issue. It's a national epidemic issue. It borders on public health. It is a matter that also has to do with livelihood challenges. So dispassionate of these rhetorics, we need to delve and interrogate the matter from a very critical stance. Now, if you were to understand the positioning of the Constitution, and like other legal frameworks, a state of emergency is required when there is either tangible or imminent security, safety issues that confront the country. And as it stands now, go to Article 31.9, and you realize that we have satisfied, relative to this Galamsey matter, the requirement to actually have a state of emergency. So massaging the issue doesn't help anybody. Today I sit and I ask myself that if there is an environmental issue such as Galamsey and non-regulated or irresponsible mining, that is actually creating health challenges. Let me tell you, you know the number of children now born with hole-in-heart conditions. You know the number of children who are born autistic. Do we know the number of pregnancies that are miscarried daily? Do we also know the extent to which kidney and other vital organs in the human system are being undermined as a result of the introduction of hard chemicals into our soil and water bodies? Do we know? You realize that these situations, go to our hospitals, and you understand the heightening numbers in these particular health situations I have indicated. And what that does fundamentally is to undermine the health and the security of the state. Do we know the extent to which food insecurity is undermined as a result of this mining situation? So that feeds into the requirement or the prerequisite of, safety and security troubles that are grounds of justification for a state of emergency.
Right.
And I think that we are just too diplomatic with this issue of Galamsey.
But people say...
we should not be that diplomatic. And so for me, it is why I am troubled. So today I sit and I question, why are people like Professor Jampo, who is so much, pressing on this issue, are no longer talking about us marshalling forces as we once did to confront the issue? Why are they not doing so? Today they are so quiet. They are so quiet. What has happened to the scholarship of Professor Jampo? What has happened to his intellectual and academic integrity? Or is he convincing now that because the government have given him an appointment, it is actually a compensation for the role he played, and that we shouldn't believe in the objectivity of what his analysis was?
Professor Jampo is not the only person who called for a state of emergency.
He was the loudest. And I'm calling him, yes, and he is one of the key beneficiaries of appointments in the regime, which now better places him, all right, to be able to offer policy, guidance, and advice to the powers that be. This is the angle I'm coming from. Right. I'm an academic like him. And academics don't speak without verifiable facts. So if today we are not hearing those verifiable facts from those who pontificated on these issues, well, as though they were Puritans, they pontificated on these issues. My question is, why the silence now? Or he's only observing the African training of table manners. That way, it's bad table manners to actually talk while
at the table.
That's the point.
But Doc, the point also being made is
things.
that President John Dramani Mahama has a 4-year mandate. He's barely done 9 months. So why are you pressing on him to call for a state of emergency now
A year
when
ago.
he has the ability? He says that, listen, I've put in place measures. Let's see how these measures go and affect the fight against illegal mining. If that does not work, then we resort to the state of emergency.
My brother, there is no political will in fighting this thing. I'm being frankly and brutally honest with you that I don't see that aggressive political will. Just my brother Hamza is here. My brother Hamza knows, even whilst my party was in government, things I didn't agree with them. My outburst was out there. I would blast if I have to blast. I will criticize if I have to do. That is the trajectory our nation must take. If 1 year ago we saw the sense in a state of emergency, you don't require anything else unless you tell us that the circumstances have drastically changed. By the way, to further expose what I deem as the hypocrisy that undermines the political will required to fight this issue, have you realized that between around March and June, we actually had forest entry permits issued to a number of organizations? You were talking about the reclamation of some forest. A forest permit allows people to penetrate into protected forest zones.
But the president declared yesterday
GBF Associates Ghana Limited.
Under his watch, not even
that
one
is the point I am coming from.
Issued.
That is the angle I'm coming from. And I'm saying that contrary to some of those impressions created, all right, there is evidence out there. And this was Awake News and no, it's not GH. I look at it, News, GH Online. One of so these two news portals.
Those are
they
your
have
sources,
indicated,
not that you are aware.
They have indicated that between March and June, about 4 mining licenses, forest entry permits have been given. Now, they've been given to organizations like the GBF Associates Ghana Limited, FJ Minerals, AMBY Company Limited, and Gateway Explorations. Now, if these forest entry permits have been given, what it means basically is that where you have such permits given, what it means is that you've given these companies opportunity to do 3 things, or one of 3. It could be outright exploration, it could be prospecting, it could be recognizance. And I'm saying that if we are minded to fight Galamsey, especially owing to the plethora of issues I have outlined, from health to ecology to food security and livelihood challenges, then it requires a holistic approach that encapsulates, 1, a deliberate policy direction, 2, a more stringent legal enforcement. These are the things we need. And I'm saying that we are being too diplomatic with the issue of mining. Now, let us be fair to understand. Let us be fair to also understand that this issue is not simplistic. Considering the cartels and the syndicates of powerful people who cuts across, in fact, from the political divide to, and I'm careful, political divide, both sides, to even our chieftaincy domains, there is a huge conspiracy in this matter. And I think that this is why I urge Mr. President to actually go beyond the things we heard yesterday, and to ensure that serious and drastic measures are taken. Another troubling trend for me is the withdrawal of the IGP's task force.
We'll come to that, because the president also provided some clarity on that matter. Hamza Soyene is also here. He is a private legal practitioner and a member of the NDC's communications team. Hamza, good morning.
Good morning, Josh.
I hope you're doing well.
Well, not bad.
But when you see your senior brothers doing well, you know. So my senior brothers doing well.
For the way. Good morning, my brother, Dr. Buta. It's been a while.
It's been a while, bro.
Very fine gentleman and an intellectual that you cannot simply take for granted. And I think that the new patriotic party must begin taking advantage of their intellect, people like him, especially on this journey of trying to rebrand their political party. It is important that they look at his direction and know that this is the kind of face that many Ghanaians at this juncture would want to see. That level of intellectual acumen. I respect that, though I disagree with many of the things he spoke about this morning, but you simply cannot discount his intellectual acumen and his passion for the development of this country. You can't take that for granted. I've been on many other platforms with him before this, and I know the kind of person he is. And so he's not your ordinary NPP communicator. He's someone who understands that when it comes to the development of the country, there are times we need to privilege the national interest. Indeed, all times we need to privilege the national interest beyond and over that of the partisanship. So I respect him for that. But Josh, on the stellar performance of His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama yesterday, I think that it is important for us to state that once again, democracy and the underlying principle of accountability is back into our political space.
Hamza, kindly hold that thought for me. We've been joined via Zoom, Professor Mamudu Akudugu, who is UTAG president, and he's joined the conversation because, yes, over the years, in fact, last year, we saw a lot of pressure from academia, from civil society, and a lot of organizations calling on the declaration of the state of emergency. Prof, thank you so much for joining us this morning. So yesterday, the president says that should be the last resort. As it stands now, quite a number of moves and measures have been implemented, have been set in motion. Let's see how all of those ones help in the fight against illegal mining before perhaps we consider the outright declaration of a state of emergency. What's your thoughts on that?
Good morning to you, and good morning to my brother Hamza and the other person, and of course to your viewers. I think, of course, galamsey or illegal mining didn't start today. And if you realize, nobody ever called for the declaration of state of emergency in those galamsey endemic areas all along. So it is a measure of last resort. And that is why we believe that we've reached that point in time that we need to discharge that silver bullet. And the president talked about the fact that the state still have some power to be able to arrest and to do the rest of the things. That is what we've been doing all these years. Over the previous government, and even when this government came into power, it's the same thing we've been doing. So it is not a question of the state not having that power to do whatever it is doing, arresting and all that. We can talk about the number of people arrested, number of the excavators impounded and all the rest of it. How many people have been successfully prosecuted? It's the same thing. The same business as usual approach, and it is not going to solve the problem. It's getting worse. At least you listen to the Ghana MD for Ghana Water Company, and you at least you just can't imagine. And remember, we are in the rainy season, and during the rainy season, rivers have the capacity to be able to self-clean, and yet we are having these issues. What will happen in the dry season? So I think the president saying that we have not reached there yet, for us, we have passed there. And I believe that when they were in opposition, they agreed with us. Unfortunately, it's not being rationalized.
Right, but Prof,
we haven't reached there.
Right, but Prof, the president talks about the fact that, well, they've been able to successfully retrieve about 9 forest reserves that were invaded by illegal miners. They've been able to seize over 300 shangfangs. He mentions that security is on the ground. Also talks about the fact that blue water guards are policing our water bodies, among others. And so let's see how these work. Is that not different from what we've seen over the years, for which reason, indeed, we should give the president the benefit of time?
Did he also say that 2 of the forest reserves have been taken back?
Well, he mentioned that 1 has been reinvaded, but then security would be on the grounds to ensure that these galamseyers are flushed out of that particular forest reserve.
So it is just a matter of time. When did we get, I think that's less than 2 months ago or 3, that it was reported that they've gotten back those forest reserves. And if those people have the tenacity to go back, it's just a matter of time for them to take back the 9. If we don't do things, if we don't take the drastic decisions that has to be taken. And besides that, you talk about the water guards and all that. What has been the impact of that on the quality of our water bodies? Why is Ghana Water Company telling us what they're telling us? You see, it's not about ticking boxes. It's about the impact of those interventions. So you can imagine that if we were to, in fact, if we were able to do what granted that have been achieved over this period of time, you can imagine how much more would have been achieved if we adhered to the appeal to declare targeted state of emergency in those areas.
Right. So as it stands now for you, you believe that it's time to declare state of emergency. That's the case?
That is absolutely so.
Right. Well,
because the thing is that time is of essence. And some of these actions and interventions are time-bound. For example, like the repeal of the LI, 2642.
2462, you mean?
Sorry. That LI, sorry for the wrong.
Yesterday, the president mentioned that works are in motion to repeal that LI.
Exactly. So what prevented them from doing it the first time? You see, you can take the same action and not get the desired results because you miss the timeline. So if you miss the timeline, you just take the box and nothing will be obtained by way of significant impact. So the signal that the repeal of that LI would have had when they were supposed to do it, we were not able to get that again because the time has passed. The same thing with state of emergency. If we don't declare it at the right time, you come and declare it later, like carrying when you are supposed to go to the hospital for a checkup or for something, and you don't go, and then you collapse, and they now carry you in the stretcher and go. The treatment is going to be the same. So if you don't go at the right time, you will not get the right treatment. And so we wait until such a time that you now come and declare a state of emergency. It will be useless because you will not be able to get the damage being done is irreversible.
Right.
And so it's a matter of time. It's a matter of being able to deploy your arsenals at the right time to get the maximum impact possible. So we are not just interested in about the fact that declare state of emergency. We know that there is a timing factor in this, and when you time it well, then you are able to nip the whole thing in the bud.
Right.
You don't time it well, you come and declare it, and then you are not able to get the right results. And that is the point we are making.
Noted. Prof, thank you so much for your time this morning. That's Professor Mamadou Akudugu, who is president of the University Teachers Association of Ghana. They say that they want the president to declare that state of emergency now because time is of the essence. But Hamza, you had the floor before we went for that Zoom conversation.
Like I indicated, I said that it was important for us to commend His Excellency President Mahama for honoring one of our fundamental principles when it comes to democracy, and that has to do with the pillar of accountability, availing himself to be asked critical questions by the good people of this country. It's something that we need to commend. We missed that opportunity in the last 7 or 6 years, if you ask me, and especially knowing that he's not going for re-election, and yet he's still quite committed to the fundamental principles of accountability. It's something that he needs to be commended for. Now, on the issue of the fight against Galamsey, I have listened to my brother, and I have listened to the president of the University Teachers Association of Ghana. And one thing is quite clear, especially when it comes to the UTAC, that they have been quite consistent in terms of their calls for a state of emergency to be declared. And I respect that view. And I think that His Excellency the President and the NDC government equally respects their position. It demonstrates that when it comes to the development of this country, we still can have professional bodies that we rely on to be consistent, especially when it comes to their views as to how this country ought to be governed. And so it's something that we need to commend. And as a government, I am quite convinced that even after today, His Excellency President Mahama and the entire government machinery will still be committed to listening to views as to how to end this issue of Galamsey. But not to excuse the government. Josh, it is important for me to state that if you look at our activities in opposition, we've always known, because of the promises His Excellency President Mahama made, that it was going to be extremely difficult for us to start our fight against Galamsey with an announcement of a state of emergency. Remember that one of the cardinal promises he made was to the effect that those we find in the pits are not really the perpetrators of that dastardly act, but they are financiers who we may not find in the field. And so any government that is committed to fighting the menace of illegal mining must focus on these financiers, discovering them and subjecting them to the penal code of this country. And you know that an outright declaration of a state of emergency would have obscured many of these big players behind the industry. But the fact that we are rolling out policies like the Blue Water Guards, we have intensified operations at these forest reserves, we have also strengthened stakeholder engagements with traditional rulers. And at the back of that, government's commitment has been seen to be quite, at least, progressive as compared to what we experienced in the past in the fight against illegal mining. We are not yet out of the woods, but at least those interventions that have been rolled out are things that we did not really experience in the past. You can imagine what would have happened if the government had rushed in to declare a state of emergency. We wouldn't have been in a position to discover the illicit role of a quantum mining and Wontumi. Because they wouldn't have been there mining. There's a state of emergency. And so nobody is supposed to mine. How do you discover those who were actually engaged in these acts of illegal mining and sponsoring it from behind? And so when the MPP started calling for us to declare a state of emergency, and I have always said that there's no politician in this country who understands the politics of the MPP than His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama. At the time the MPP started calling, we knew from day one that it was an agenda to help obscure and protect their people who are known financiers of that particular menace on the ground. It would have been difficult for us to discover many of them. And the objective in fighting this Galamsey is not to bring a temporal stop to the fight. It's to simply make that fight attractive. So whereas it is important for you to be rolling out policies, the Ghanaian people must also be seeing punitive sanctions in the form of legal actions intended to sanction people who are engaged in it, so that you serve as a disincentive for anybody thinking of going into the fold of illegal mining. And so it is a double-pronged approach that this government is adopting. A declaration of state of emergency without necessarily being concerned about the legal aspect of it and punishing people who have been engaged in it for years would not have achieved the desired effect. Because after the ban is lifted, if you think that you have cleaned the sector, because there are really no sanctions against such people, many other Ghanaians would have gone back again. After all, the worst would be another declaration of state of emergency without any punitive sanctions, even if you are caught. So what would constitute the disincentive? So this is a government that is very careful in terms of how we are rolling out our strategy. Look, many of the journalists who were leading the charge in the previous regime have had cause on their social media platforms to commend the efforts of this government on the ground as far as the fight is concerned. The basic question we should be asking is, hitherto, did you ever know that there was a full-blown community in this country that were engaged in activities of illegal mining, and for years, under the previous regime, under the guise even of fighting illegal mining, they were not able to discover that community? It took this government in less than 6 months to discover such a community and bent it to the ground. So these are the issues. In a matter of 7 months, we've been able to retrieve about 9 forests that were hitherto besieged by the activities of illegal mining.
Right.
Commendable. And when His Excellency President Mahama directed the IGP to pull out, you see, remember that there are allegations also against many of the security operatives on the ground. And there was the need for us to bring sanity. Many of the miners who were mining legally have also had cause to complain that some of these security installations were extorting monies from them. So the IGP cannot be engaged in a parallel activity different from what the National Anti-Galamsey Task Force has been tasked to handle, using national security and in some cases military men. So there was the need for us to sanitize that entire process. And it was not for nothing our national organizer raised that alarm bells and indicated that, look, there was the need for us to sanitize the process.
Right.
And I'm sure that it has informed the decision of this government in terms of how they are responding to the issue of sanitization when it comes to the efforts intended to end illegal mining. But, like I indicated, in the past, the call to end, to declare a state of emergency was not a call made by His Excellency President Mahama. It was a call made by professional bodies like UTAC. And many of us, then, leading members of the National Democratic Congress, clearly associated with that call. I would not run away from that.
And that was just last year.
You see, we associated with that call because at the time, it was not just NDC elements. The entire country had lost confidence in the pretense of the government at the time in fighting illegal mining. Josh, you are forgetting, these were times that even state officials at the office of the president who were mandated to end illegal mining were seen on live video taking money from illegal miners to protect them to go and mine. We are talking about a time where officials at the presidency, in the office of the chief of staff, were themselves engaged actively, including the chief of staff's son, in activities of illegal mining. We are talking about a time when these MMDCs, a classical example is Sampine, the former mayor of Kumasi. At the time, they were illegally engaged in the activities of illegal mining. So the entire government machinery was seen as an epitome of illegality when it comes to the issue of illegal mining.
So for you, the calls at the time was based on the hopelessness in the administration,
absolutely, because
and not necessarily what was happening on the ground?
It was part of it. That's why I'm saying that you have to look at the circumstances.
Okay.
Because the people were devastated. Our water bodies were being contaminated. But the government itself appeared to have been complicit in the fight. And so any policy intervention was simply used as a small screen for them to continue to take advantage of our lands and our water bodies under the guise of looking for minerals. So the government itself was complicit. The entire government machinery. Indeed, you had the former Minister for Environment, Science and Technology himself having to declare that there were officials of his own party telling him that party here, Sika. Have you forgotten? So Ghanaians had lost confidence in the sincerity of the fight at the time. Ghanaians were beginning to question whether indeed it was not being sponsored by government itself. And so that was the situation.
Right.
And that's why many of these bodies decided and felt that at that time, for us to actually see the role government was playing and to attempt to distance government from these activities, there was the need for us to bring a halt to all activities.
But Hamza, clearly these same bodies have not had their positions changed.
No.
We just heard from UTAC. Even though time has come through, President Mahama has taken some steps, they still believe that the state of emergency needs to be declared.
That's why I commended UTAC for staying consistent. It is the responsibility of this government and its communicators to engage the likes of UTAC to understand that the circumstances now are different. And that is why it calls for a different approach when it comes to the fight. And it is not coincidental that this approach is already beginning to yield fruits. In the past, did you have retrieval of about 9 forest reserves? You didn't. Did you have a full community exposed and burnt down? You didn't. Did you have a system of regulating the importation of excavators into this country? You didn't. Today we have a system of even tracking it from the ports.
Right.
So it is our responsibility as government communicators. It is our responsibility to engage these professional bodies and to engage the likes of my brother for them to understand that the approach, the circumstances are entirely different. So they can be forgiven to remain consistent based on that call. And the NDC government would not have any problem with them. Because we know that the responsibility is on us to let them understand that, look, these calls, last or 2 years, were justified. But this is what we have done so far. And we feel that if we get so much time, we'll be able to do more. And that it does not call at this material moment for a declaration of a state of emergency. But if we get there, be rest assured that we would be quite forceful in making such a declaration. And so these are the issues we need to understand.
Absolutely.
Again, I just want to throw one caution to my brother. One of the fundamental problems I feel that we have in this country has to do with the influx of fake news. This issue, and he is an intellectual and he's a researcher, I would urge that in terms of the reports and the media links that you made reference to as to those who have been given mining licenses to go and mine, some of these stories are engineered just to hit the political temperature. So you can have a system of verifying it rather than just relying on these questionable media links. And I think that I know you, so this would have been an oversight. So,
George,
it's only fair.
No, I'll give you time. I'll give you time to also respond.
I think that to the extent that the president has said that no license has been issued until the contrary can be proved with data from the Minerals Commission, I think that we need to respect that view rather than relying on the many of this. If you had mentioned institutions like GHOne, My GHOne Line, CTFM, and the likes, Metro TV, we can associate and begin to interrogate. But even finally, Josh,
briefly, because
if we have a system where, if we have a situation where a license has been issued, it can be understood in the sense that, remember, that even when we got into office, many of the decisions that were started under the previous regime, because the government was trying to settle, had an interesting way of just slipping through. You understand? Because we're now appointing ministers, we're now appointing civil chief executive officers, and so the MPP appointees who were acting, the country did not come to a standstill. They were still in their respective offices. And so the fact that there was a change in government on the 7th of December and an eventual swearing in on the 7th of January does not mean that, or didn't mean that the country had to come to a standstill. Many of these decisions would have still been the effects of those appointees of the previous regime.
Absolutely. Hamza Suyini there, a member of the NDC's communications team, also a private legal practitioner. We'll go for a break, but when we come back from that break, we'll take a response from Dr. Bota as well. Studio. I have Hamza Soyini, who is a private legal practitioner and a member of the NDC's communications team, and then Dr. Elvis Bota, who is former deputy national organizer of the NPP. So, Doc, let me give you 120 seconds, 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I'm just appreciating my brother for the kind accolades he showered on me. That shouldn't eat into my head, but give me more encouragement. He's cautioning on the issue I raised from sites that does not entirely, grown to the stage of discourse. Is because when they said these issues, the Forestry Commission did not respond. They didn't give a counter response. That is one of the things. Maybe my own caution will be that if state institutions think that things said about them are not the case, they should help governance. They should help the president, because the truth is that, look, we've been in government before, and once you sit at Jubilee House, the president will not know everything. He will rely on his institutions to do so. But where I have my differences with my brother's position is that, yes, I praised the accountability regime and everything. Perfect. But the issue is that I don't think the circumstances have significantly varied. Good efforts may have been made, but the circumstances hasn't varied. I'm going to give you a few instances. Adom 106.3 FM. If you go to their site, Adom, which I believe is credible. NDC constituency vice chair in Obuasi West leads illegal miners to seize and lay claim to mining concession. NDC constituency vice chair. This is how it starts. So my argument is that if, and there are a couple of them I can bring out, if in the past administration, people at Jubilee House, powerful people, were complicit, and you spoke about it, two things are required. One, it is the reason we've actually voted for this government. Personally, my style of communication at some point raised doubts about my membership of the NPP within our circles, because there were things I supported the position of the opposition. So if you have won power today, the onus lies on you to first of all deal with those people at the Jubilee House my brother was talking about. Have they prosecuted the Chief of Staff's son? If they haven't, then it was a lie. Have they prosecuted all the people at the Jubilee House in the Akufo-Addo's administration they are blaming? If they have not done that, then we are still looking forward to that. And it must be expeditious, because if you seem to understand these things in opposition, then you should just equip the evidence to the AG department with the evidence to proceed. That is what we want to see. Punish people for their sins committed against the environment. Punish people for diverging our environment. Punish people for penetrating our ecology and jamming it. As to the question of whether or not a state of emergency is needed. Yes. It is still needed. And you notice, like he said, that is practically a position of UTAC, who the NDC supported. And they were more serious about it than UTAC, who conceptualized. We were pregnant with it, but they took the pain of the delivery. It behooves on them, without excuse at all, to actually do so. So we are monitoring and we are watching. For some of us, we believe that with the trend of issues in this country for the past decade, if we keep quiet, or if I say because I'm in the NPP, I'm not interested in the success of the government of the day, then what essentially I'm saying is that I'm not interested in the development of the nation. So then, if the past 10 years has been chaotic, and from a very scientific research point of view, some of us are aware that our democracy is seriously endangered than ever before. And if we are not careful, we won't even have it in the next decade again to talk about. I'm telling you, there are critical things that borders on security we cannot say. But if we are minded, the success of this government is required for the sanity of our democracy. And we're not going to let them fail. We will stoke the fire in them as we stoke in the Eastwell administration till they succeed. So they should scale up beyond just talk let us see a manifestation.
Right.
That's all we
And
ask
in
for,
the
yeah.
manifestation, you mentioned one thing, that if indeed these allegations that were raised were true, why are we not prosecuting? President Mahama says that there are over 200
Why are
cases.
you piling 200 cases? He's a lawyer. Why are you piling 200 cases? In opposition, some of those people were condemned.
That was the point I was coming to make. You see, if
Bro,
you listen,
200,
probably my
just
brother
start with
didn't listen. My brother didn't listen.
I listened
exhaustively to His Excellency President Mahama.
Right.
It was quite clear that indeed Oral had done so much work, and you know that it goes beyond the normal corruption-related issues that we know. There were issues of Galamsey and political appointees who were neck deep in the fight against Galamsey. And so many of these things will come up.
Yes, we'll be dealing with the oral issue, I'm sure, right?
And you see, we are talking about a system of governance where the entire gamut of the presidency was branded as being complicit in the fight against corruption, in the fight against illegal mining.
Yes.
And there were video evidence of appointees of the presidency actually directly involved in aiding the menace of illegal mining. I'm coming. So that tells you that the circumstances were different. So it's not accurate to say that the circumstances are not different. Now, we were having to deal with a situation where even the minister responsible for ensuring that sanity made an open confession that there were leading members of his government who were involved. So the circumstances are totally different. You do not have that happening now. You have made references to a constituency chairman who probably was waxing lyrical with power because his party had come into power. It doesn't mean that this government entertained it or countenanced it. You know.
Right.
Any story that comes out, and it has to do with any operative on the ground, whether a party branch executive, we respond appropriately. That is the difference. And you see, it is not an agenda to end the fight, to end Galamsey just for political reasons. We want a sustainable approach, and I know he understands that because he's a researcher. Sustainability of the fight is not just for the cameras, and it's not just for 4 years. We have to make it in such a way that it becomes an attractive for people to want to venture into that space.
Exactly.
We must close all the loopholes, and that includes policy, and that includes criminal pursuit of those who are found to have been engaged in activities that are contrary to our criminal code. And we need to do it holistically. And that is what we are doing. And I explained that.
Yes.
Oh, no, you
That's
did.
the difference.
I did not contradict
and so
you. My position was that.
The circumstances, the circumstances are entirely different. But then again,
different. You know why? Your national organizer.
Let me land. My
national organizer, your national second vice Abanga, the president, and that one we must commend the president.
So that is why I'm telling you.
Yes, but it doesn't take away the fact that top government machinery.
He has the floor. He has the floor. Hamza has the floor.
Respectful counsel.
You see, now, media reports attempted linking our national organizer and our vice chairman, as far as that menace is concerned. The government promptly responded and directed that they should be investigated. If we had such prompt interventions, in the past, what did we have? We had a president who was engaged in clearing his appointees. This president, the two people I've mentioned are not appointees of His Excellency the President. They are functionaries.
Of the party.
So they are not appointees. But yet he responded. That tells you the difference and the commitment to the fight against illegal mining by this president. And that's the reason why I said that, look, we will not dismiss the concerns of UTAC and other professional bodies who still feel strongly that the way out is to declare a state of emergency. Our responsibility as a government is to let them understand that the circumstances are entirely different. Right. And that this is the kind of approach we have. And if we are confronted with similar circumstances like we had in the past, I can assure you that this government would have by now declared that state of emergency.
Okay.
But it's because we know that the circumstances are different and our approach clearly appears to be yielding results. That's the difference.
Okay.
I say, finally, Josh.
Yes.
You see...
Oh, there's still a final.
My brother, this government will be extremely sensitive when it comes to the legitimate demands of the Ghanaian people. Okay. And so, despite the fact that His Excellency President Mahama presented a position to the good people of this country through that media encounter yesterday, knowing him as a communication expert and as a man with deep reverence for the Ghanaian media, this morning I'm convinced that His Excellency President Mahama would have been scanning the media houses to gauge responses to his engagement last night, and possibly listen to different perspectives as to how many things that this country should be governed, including the fight against Galamsey.
Right.
And as a listening president, if at the end of the day, we are convinced, or he's convinced by the views that they are superior to what he presented yesterday, knowing him, His Excellency President Mahama will not have any difficulty reviewing his position and adopting a strategy that will be reflective of the many intellectual pronouncements on the matter and take that to the full.
Right.
That is the reason why many of us had the appetite and verve to campaign for his presidency again, because we know him.
Okay.
And we know this is a legacy term for him,
Right.
and he will not take that for granted. So I can assure you, Tak, that the discussion is still ongoing.
We are safe.
We are listening, and that if at the end of the day, they still feel strongly that the circumstances are not different like we attempt making them appreciate, and they are able to proffer superior arguments to counter that position and our viewpoint, driven by data, they should be rest assured that this government will honor and salute them, because we know that their fight is not political.
Right.
We know that their fight is about the national interest. And when my brother made references to the likes of Dr. Professor Jampo,
Yes.
Professor Jampo has never been a card-bearing member of the National Democratic Congress. He knows that as a matter of fact.
No, so I spoke about he...
Yeah, no, I know. I'm not saying that you are saying he's a member of the NDC. He's never been a member of the National Democratic Congress. The likes of him probably were co-opted into the government so that we could give many of these professional bodies or intellectuals an opportunity who are not tainted by our partisanship to spearhead some of our state institutions devoid of that partisanship. So he was brought in, many of them were brought in to play a certain role and to also demonstrate our respect to those of you in academia who have so far conducted themselves in such a way that they are not tainted with partisanship.
Right.
That you have a space. And it is an indication to you that if you are a lecturer, you simply do not need to identify with an NDC government party or NPP party to be appointed. All what you need to do is to champion the national interest. And so my brothers and sisters in academia should not see Professor Jampo's position today as a change of position, or they should not see the NDC's extension of appointment to his likes as a thank you package, but they should see it as a message to them that, look, political parties would appreciate you if you stay in your various universities and privilege the national interest and do your work professionally without unnecessarily aligning to political parties. The NDC in particular will see the work you are doing and at least give you an opportunity to bring that expertise into government. Professor Jampo had, on several occasions, had cause to go after the National Democratic Congress. So they should not go against the likes of Professor Jampo. They must see it as an inspiration. They must see it as an avenue that we are creating for them to continue to be professional in their various roles and know that in remaining professional will not deny them an opportunity to serve in government.
Absolutely. But let me come to you, Doc.
So we're actually empowering and strengthening your professional body.
That's good. But when they come in, they must not change principles.
Absolutely.
On oral, the president talked about the fact that he even gave updates on some cases. He says that for the National Service Authority scandal, for instance, once the legal vacation is over and the new legal year begins, charges will be proffered against the CBA and then Gift to Awari and the likes. And he says currently about 200 cases in terms of oral are being looked into.
For me, it's good news. You see, the reality is that for us to grow as a nation, we must be deliberate in our focus in fighting the menace of corruption and other such things that bedevils our development, such as the Galamsey we are talking about. And for some of us who are truly enthusiastic about the national banners of Ghana, this Galamsey thing, I have always pronounced, and he knows that on several platforms I have said that, look, government was lazy about it, and we must have this target, shoot and kill approach when it comes to Galamsey. Honestly, if you seek my view, it's the same thing we want to see in the fight against white-collar crime, corruption. The issue of oral, I have always debated that so long as it fits into our legal frameworks and does not create unnecessary bureaucracy, it is okay to proceed on it. I mean, actually, one of the key things about governance is to fight corruption, perpetrated, first of all, by government functionaries themselves. So if we are planning to deal with oral people, it's good. The problem, however, we have when we are discussing some of these things is the fact that if you are not careful, the bureaucracy created as a result of some of these frameworks will actually lead to similar scandals, if not well bridled. And you realize that we had that. Remember, this is not the first time a government is fighting corruption. Successive governments in this country have fought corruption. And sometimes the fight against corruption ends up in corruption itself. You remember Kroll and Associates development. When the NPP government came fighting corruption, a scandal emerged. Oral is taking similar direction, if not well controlled. You remember Fifi Kote's outburst. And for me, I think he was speaking from very principled stance. And that is what we must do. You could realize that the General Secretary of the ruling party got frustrated at what he is beginning. He was specific that whilst they intend fighting corruption with oral, worrying news they are gathering is the fact that leading members of that architecture are very busy cutting deals with people they should be prosecuting. Two things here. One, it means that, this is a general secretary, like I said, very principled, and I actually salute him. My respect for him doubled when he took the bull by the horns on this. Maybe we're on the good path of accountability. But that has always been the problem with such machinery. So the prosecution's good. We must ensure that they are truly prosecuted. Again, I think that there is a delay in oral. The prosecution of some of those people. You know what? Because the approach of the Attorney General has been that. It has been one of media encounters first. He engages the media, and he gives a catalog of cases and the details of why he thinks that there is a real case for the state to fight.
Right.
Now, if you do such media engagement, and in the minds of the public, you practically create the impression of culpability in people, then we should see real action in court. It's 9 months. Legal processes can be very procedural, but they should go to court. I don't subscribe to piling many cases.
They're in court.
Why are you waiting? Why are you piling 200 cases to go? Let's be quick.
President says at the beginning of the legal year, there would
a few days ago in Metro, I was talking about the NSA thing.
Yes.
It was good to hear that they'll be going to court. In fact, so let's go to court. But the key worry, which is just a caution, like I told you, accountability, government can be commended. The approach is good thus far. But don't take the caution of their own general secretary to the party for granted. And it is my admonishment this morning that let us all support that call of the general secretary to put more heat on the attorney general, to go more beyond in fact, shall I say, to use the same fire, in the media declaration of near culpability on these people, to make it reflect in his argument in court, and let the state be giving its fair share. Because for me, this whole thing about plea bargain we are hearing about, maybe Senior here will explain it better, is disheartening. It can be good. But you know the perils of it. If you begin to settle for people willing to give 60%, people willing to give a certain percentage of the loot, and come and tell us that it is about getting something back for the state, it will become a motivation for corruption. You know why? I can just go into office tomorrow. Maybe Hamza, my senior brother, recommends me to the president that, oh, my younger brother is a fine academic. So they put me in. Then I think that if I steal $10 million, keep it safe somewhere, when matter chop hot, then I'll bring $6 million to the state and still benefit $4 million. In so doing, I have still harmed the state.
So that's your understanding.
Are you getting it? Yeah, that is, it's a clear, if you do that, if we encourage more of that, it becomes a motivation to people to want to. So my argument is that we have to be more serious. Because you know why I got worried about this? It's not just my understanding. Right. Lawyer Kwebu is a very respected lawyer and uncle. You know, we all speak Gonja. When he was being interviewed, he was connected online. I'm not too sure whether it was Metro or TV3. But a couple of days ago, about 4 days ago, this should be on Monday evening. Sunday evening was when I watched the program. He said oral is not truly too much about, it's not necessarily intended to really put people at insawam. This was what he said. And that, per the name, it is Operation Recover or Loot. So the recovery is essential. And if you take some and don't even get the rest, in his own words, he said half a loaf was better than none. And it's my argument this morning that, yes, that could be. But under our circumstances, we must go after them for full loaves. If we don't get full loaves, they should still go to Insawam to account for the remaining loaves we've not got it.
Okay.
And remember that these stands cannot...
Right.
You want to clear?
No. Just land it. Let me.
Are you getting it?
Let me just bring
so that stance is troubling.
Okay.
In the strategic objective of oral.
Very well.
They should do oral as they made us believe.
Okay.
Which we supported, which I spoke to the media about and said I'll forever support it. And do remember that I'm not just doing politics here. Right. Some of us are tired with propaganda.
National,
if they are going for half loaves, and I'm calling for the people to still serve jail terms for the remaining loaves we cannot get, then you should understand my objectivity.
Absolutely.
Because these are people
Hamza,
of my
let
government.
me bring you into the conversation.
So that is a limited understanding of the essence of plea bargaining. And that is why you have proceeded to demand for full loaves, and in case they do not give full loaves, and sought to create an impression that what senior counsel Kodjo said was simply an agenda to recover the roots, even if they get half, without any subsequent punishment for a failure to retrieve the rest of the loot. The whole essence of plea bargaining is on how you end it. Your call is rooted in law.
Yeah.
You engage with the suspect who probably stole $10 million, is able to, and would have been entitled to, would have been subjected to a 10 or 20 years imprisonment. Guilty. He says he's bringing $6 million. He can't bring the rest of the $4 million. Then you strike a bargain. Instead of going to prison because for 20 years, because he's recovered $6 million, $66 million, he goes for maybe 14 years instead of the 20. It doesn't mean, plea bargain doesn't mean that people will not go to prison. It simply means that the punishment will be lesser than it would have been. Indeed, you can even have a situation where an accused person recovers all that he has stolen to you and still end up going to prison. Because the issue is that he has been caught pants down and he has engaged in an illegality. He has committed a crime. And so would have been entitled to 20 years. But because he's recovered all, you don't want to give him 20 years. Go and do 10 years. It doesn't mean that people will go away without being punished. That's the whole essence of plea bargain. But when you listen to many of our brothers from the other side of the political divide talk about the concept of plea bargain, it is almost as if that, look, we are going to call the people who bring this money and go scot-free. Bring any amount that you can. Not. That is not the essence of plea bargain. That's not the essence of plea bargain.
Right.
And you see, when it comes to the issues of oral, I think that I listened to the General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, in as much as I understand the frustration of the General Secretary. I'm unable to tell his source, but obviously because he's General Secretary, he probably would have been privy to information than...
Well, yesterday the president even said that, well, if he has evidence...
Yes. I listened to His Excellency the President, because when I heard it, I was a little bit concerned.
Yeah.
In all honesty, when I heard him, because you see, we have been given a mandate by the people of this country to ensure that we hold people accountable and develop the country as well.
Sure.
And we do not have to start this administration by, if you like, by treading on grounds that has the potency of taking away that goodwill and beginning to instill suspicion in the minds of the Ghanaian people. It would affect the support we seek to get from the Ghanaian people on this journey of accountability. And so for me, that was my discomfort. Even if the General Secretary has access to such information, it ought to have been managed better from where I sit.
Right.
In government. Because he probably could have reached out to the presidency or called out a number of people. For lawyers will always be lawyers. Whether they are NDC lawyers or the MPP lawyers. I'm just so seated here.
We are all the same.
Even my law firm, I'm not an appointee of the state. Even my law firm, someone who is being tried by the state walks up to me and wants me to represent the person. My ethics require that as part of effective representation,
yes,
I must negotiate for my client. It's legal. It's ethical. And that is the essence. That's what birthed the idea of plea bargaining. That's what birthed the idea of plea bargaining. So if I come and I start negotiating, my client can bring this. It is law. It is not NDC doing it. The fact that I'm an NDC lawyer or I'm a lawyer known as a member of the National Democratic Congress does not necessarily mean that that is the position of the NDC. Right. Lawyers do these things. Lawyers represent their clients in ways they can represent them better. And so for me, when I heard it, I was like, okay, our General Secretary, probably because he's not a lawyer, so he got the information and he was a bit alarmed by the kind of information he got. And knowing him, like you indicated, he's a spirited child of the revolution. Very uncompromising. When it comes to the ideals of accountability. That has been his entire life.
Right.
He tries to reflect those attributes of the past. So me, when I heard him speaking, I was like, okay, well, this is influenced by his revolutionary roots and background and appetite for accountability. So he could be forgiven.
Right.
You understand? But the reality is that lawyers engage in these things. And it is legal.
It is not illegal.
It is not illegal.
No,
it is
not.
legal
Absolutely.
for them to negotiate.
Absolutely.
You understand?
Right.
And that's the whole essence of plea bargain. And when I listened to His Excellency President Mahama, I know he jokingly said that, of course, then he should bring evidence. He would have called him to bring evidence. You understand? But you see, I know that as a matter of fact, that even behind the scenes, they would have discussions on the matter. And if there are any issues that he needs to flag out for His Excellency President Mahama to take note of, His Excellency President Mahama would do so. But what was significant was the outright declaration of His Excellency President Mahama that, look, I am the one who would be in charge. I am the one who is in charge. And I will not condone any such acts.
Right.
Significant. A bold statement to make. And to assure the good people of this country that we are still committed to the issues of oral.
Right.
But you see, Josh, we have chosen this painful path of democracy for ourselves. And what it means is that even when it comes to justice, we say that justice grinds slowly. But it eventually will get there. The speed at which we may want to see some of these things may not really materialize because of the nature of our court system. Because of the nature of our court system. That is why this government has made a commitment to resetting the courts. And I can confidently declare that we are on that journey of resetting. And it's so far been, it's promising that indeed we are on the journey of repositioning the courts to deliver justice to the good people of this country. And not just to the good people of this country.
Right.
To be able to assist government to be in a position to deliver justice on behalf of the good people of this country.
Okay.
Because the bad knots within the sector, of course, would be cleaned out. And I think that journey has been started already. Yeah. From the civil servants to judges with questionable integrity. Many Ghanaians will now have the opportunity to file petitions against them and call for their removal. Because, of course, as partners, we need to defend our judicial system. And so you can be rest assured.
Right. Okay.
You can rest
but in that sense, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia says the NDC is using the security services and all of this to go after political opponents.
Is that what they did when they were in power?
No, he says that's what you are doing.
You see, so sometimes I pity His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. For 16 years at the helm of affairs, especially when it comes to the politics of the MPP with Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, one would have thought that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia would have learned useful lessons when it comes to political commentary. Unfortunately, he keeps disappointing some of us. Unfortunately. You see, as a potential flag bearer of the new patriotic party, you must be guided in your public commentary, especially when it's dealing with a sector that you may not be privy to how it works. And this is the arena of the courts and law. What evidence do you have to suggest that the state is using the security services to harass political appointees? In the case of Wuntimi, were they not the very people under Samuel Abu Jinapur's signature as Minister for Lands and Natural Resources who communicated to the whole of this country that Alconta Mining and Wuntimi were engaged in illegal mining activities? Have you forgotten that statement? But because their government was in power, what did they do? So if a new government comes up and decides to follow these matters through, what is wrong with that? How can that be political victimization or using the security agencies to harass? Abronye. You see, and again, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, should be worried. Is he not the first person to have cried foul when Brana Champon raised issues of ethnicity and the promises he made them to become flag bearer? And he cautioned about reckless political commentary. Don't forget that this same Abronye, somewhere in 2020, accused President Mahama of planning to kill certain individuals in this country. Do you remember? In 2022, that same Abronye indicated that His Excellency President Mahama was engaged in funding an attempted coup d'etat in this country. You remember that? That has always been his talking trait. Reckless political commentary. When His Excellency President Mahama was sworn into office, he made an allegation and was invited by the NIB that 550 million Ghana cedis had been taken over by His Excellency President Mahama. You remember that NIB invite? So who occasioned it? So should we allow, and we have laws, if you look at our criminal code, it is clear that you cannot engage in acts of this nature. So if the security agencies act on the basis of your conduct, how can that be political victimization?
Right.
Has anybody gone against Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia? Has anybody gone against any of his aides, the likes of Dennis Miraculous Abuaje and the likes? Have we gone after them? So he should know, and he ought to know, that those the security agencies are going after are those who have questions to answer. His own running mate had cause to respect the government and security institutions for how they were conducting their activities when he himself appeared before IOCO a number of times. You remember? And said that one should know that if you have been in office and you leave, the day of accountability will come. So you need to go and account. And what's the fuss about it?
Right. So there's no political victimization.
So it has nothing to do with political vendetta. But you see, Josh, on the issue of Abronye, if you look at our Criminal Procedure Act and Other Offences Act, it is clear that the discretion to grant bail is in the bosom of the judge.
Right.
You understand? And as part of the factors that the judge would have to consider, your penchant, like your appetite to even commit a crime whilst on bail, would be enough for the judge to deny you bail. These are one of the reasons that a judge would have to take into consideration. And I've given you a litany of utterances, reckless commentary by Abronye. So if the judge had proceeded to give him bail. For all you know, the next day, he could have done the same again.
Okay.
Because this is not the first time he has been invited by the police. Is that not the case? Have you forgotten about the issue of the Muntie tree? His Excellency President Mahama was sitting president. These were members of the National Democratic Congress who found themselves on the wrong side of the law. They attacked the integrity of the judicial architecture of this country. They were brought before that system and made to suffer justice or punishment. And they were sent, I think, to do 3 months or 6 months. It was 3 months.
3 months.
They did 3.
President Mahama allowed them to do a full month. And this was only after petitions were written. And the people themselves had written letters, apologetic letters to the president and calling for him for his intervention. And had also officially apologized to the judges. If you remember, that President Mahama decided to use his power of clemency after a full month in custody and indicated that they would have learned useful lessons after spending 1 month in custody. These were members of the National Democratic Congress.
Right.
And today, reckless Abronya, an accident of our political discourse. Because we have made our politics so open. Anybody who wakes up with a bottle of beer and can pronounce NPP or NDC is given airtime to engage in all manner of rhetorics that poses an existential threat to our democratic stability.
Right.
We should allow them to try.
Okay.
And these are the people Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia wants us to allow to go scot-free. And remember, he did not go after President John Dramani Mahama. He also went against another respectable institution of state, the Ghana Police Service, questioned their integrity. Like the Muntie 3 did in the case of the justices.
Yeah.
So let the Ghana Police Service use Abronya to send a strong signal that, like the judiciary, they will not also entertain reckless political commentary in this country that is intended to damage their reputation.
Thank you.
It is important
Thank
for
you,
that
Hamza. Doc, you have the final bite on this.
Yes. I think that just before I zoom into that issue, I appreciate the education my brother gave on the plea bargain, especially to our viewership. I just want to add that the truth also of the matter, which my brother probably didn't touch on, is the fact that, you see, plea bargain is more of a probability scale. There are also chances in our criminal jurisprudence that in the exercise of a plea bargain, chances are that the case can actually also be entirely dropped, depending on the circumstances. And that is where the exercise of the fear of people who want to see oral succeed and the state get its fair share back to actually work on. In fact, even with the retrievals we are making, are they also going to insist that the profits these people have made over the years, assuming you made a loot 7-8 years ago, you've made a lot of profits. So is the state going to charge interest on it? I know these are matters the court will deal with when eventually the cases get there. But the reality is that the fear about plea bargain is the fact that it comes with the propensity for the case entirely to also be dropped. And we don't pray that we see that. We will take solace in the president's reinforcement that, look, the bars finally stops with me, and I will ensure it happens. We will take solace in that. On the issue of, media issues and arrest and whatnot, I just want
Dr. Bawumia saying
I just want to be very general. I just want to be very general about it. Freedom of speech is a fundamental right for us. But let us distinguish freedom of speech from freedom after speech. I get worried sometimes, in some of the instances, in fact, in most of them, the things we say, sometimes without justification, that we've allowed go day in, day out, by themselves can plunge the state into a state of insecurity. And so I get the distinction from the Abronye's case from most other cases. And his case is akin to the issue of the Muntie 3 because the integrity and reputation of state institutions and their functionaries have been brought into disrepute or probably questioned. Now, in the specific case of Abronye, he went beyond just the Ghana Police Service to actually talk about the person of the IGP, a principal officer of the police regime. So if they think that there are security implications of what he has said and they've arrested him, I don't have a problem with it, and I'm not sure Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia have a problem with it. Listening to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, his position has been that the processes he feels have been overly dramatized. So, for example, you put Abronye, irrespective of how reckless in your estimation his comments might be,
in a Black Maria.
In a Black Maria. As though Abronye had committed a treasonable offense. I think these are the excesses I will want to talk about. That look, because we have a security situation to preserve, the way we handle these things should also matter. In fact, it works in the interest of these agencies that in allowing the law take its course, you don't also behave in such a way that meets public outrage that, no, you may have been emotional with your approach. This is where the problem is coming from. I got sad. I don't have a problem if they want to prosecute anybody. But I got sad seeing how he was put in a Black Maria. It as though the guy was up to a treason. But let's leave that for the police service. Maybe the Black Maria was their only vehicle available. Black Maria was the only vehicle.
This is a gentleman who had filed a number of petitions to many embassies in this country, signaling an interest to be taken out of the country.
On political asylum.
On political asylum.
Yes.
So, of course,
no, but that does not amount to
that does not amount to the operational efficiency definition of the Ghana Police Service.
Yes,
they are minded by this background. And it is that same background that informed the judge to remand him.
No, I'm not. I have not spoken against remand. George, put him correct. That is not the tangent of my argument.
Your argument has to do with the Black Maria.
Whilst we are doing these things, in the interest of the state and the confidence we must build to know that these institutions are not just being emotional. Right. I'm no spokesperson for Abronye. If he has made reckless comments, he should go and answer it. But must we do it in such a way that seems to suggest that beyond just what we want to correct, there are issues so personal about him. Right. But like I said, I'm coming from a very general position on this matter. What about the issue of social media players like this Pokwase? What's the name of the guy?
Obama
Pokwase. You see, those kind of issues were what Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was talking about. And I think that, yes, we need...
You understand why he has to be picked up.
I know that these are circumstances that require some form of diligence in the approach with which we... Look, the arrest of Obama Pokwase was in Rambo style. Like I said, again, I don't have a difficulty with the position of the law in dealing with these people. But that's why some of us are very careful how we conduct. It's the way and manner in which these things are done. Think that the security agencies, when the opportunity is there, in these kind of things, the security agencies must act with diligence. You go early dawn and go and break the guy's house.
Oh, so when we have serious, you don't know that it has legal roots.
When there are must you always hide under legal technicalities? No.
You see, if the police want to arrest you and you deny them access,
they have the
law empowers them to break in.
Obama, he refused.
The law has
did the police tell us they invited him?
So these are the questions you should ask.
They did not. I can be authoritative about it.
How can you be authoritative?
You know, I don't say these things.
No, but how can
when
you
I don't have the facts?
The
guy was not even invited. And I'm saying that for how long? You see, the truth of the matter is that whether NPP or NDC, when we are in government, we have a way of having the security agencies do what appears as our bidding. This is the perception out there.
Okay.
So my argument is that when the security agencies are having reason to do some of these things, it is time for public education. And the way and manner with which you prosecute it, is very telling as to the genuineness of your intent in dealing with those situations.
Absolutely.
So let's deal with people who are recalcitrant, but the process thereof must actually bring education, explanation, so that at least people who are ignorant, in fact, some people didn't even know that posting certain things on social media, as you sought to say, especially when you can substantiate them, can amount to you know, a criminal issue.
Right.
So I'm saying that the police and the security agencies, when they find opportunity to present themselves, do it in such a way that that preserves public confidence in you. Don't open the floodgates for emotional criticisms. And let the public understand the basis for your activity.
Right. So that's
Black Maria. Black Maria. Bro, so they don't have pickups again. The Ghana Police Service don't have pickups again. You waste a lot of fuel. You waste a lot of fuel in a Black Maria. They've even caused financial loss to the state.
Gentlemen, thank you.
The police caused financial loss to the state.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Because a Navara pickup, Hamza, a Navara pickup could have picked these people.
Gentlemen, thank you.
So Mahmoud Bawumia have basis in what he's talking about.
By the way. So Dr. Elvis Bota, he is former Deputy National Organizer of the NPP and also a lecturer at the UPSA. But Doc, a colleague of yours at UPSA, Dr. Gerald Onofio, he says hi.
Oh, yes, he's my boss, so he's my senior. I salute you, senior. I will see you for office.
He says good morning to you. And then Hamza Suini, he's a private legal practitioner and a member of the NDC's communications team. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming.
I have a pro bono case for him.
You have a pro bono case. This is still the breakfast review segment of GH Today. We're right back after this with some more interviews for you. Stick and stay with us.
Just what
Hello there. Thank you so much for staying with us. Let's get into another interview this morning. And we are talking about awakening. And she will say, Madache, you need to be awake. And we'll get to that conversation shortly. My guests are ready for me for that particular conversation. And I've been joined in studio this morning by Ebenezer Ijaola, who is head of programs for Harvesters Ghana, and then Ginikachi Afolayan, who is also communications head for Harvesters Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
Good morning, welcome. Morning. Thank you for having us.
Absolute pleasure. And Ebenezer, talk to me. Harvesters Ghana. What are you about?
Harvesters Ghana is a church.
Oh.
It's a church. It's a community of changed lives. Like we always say, give us 3 to 6 months of your life, and your life would never remain the same again, because Jesus is here. Jesus is there.
Right. So that's your tagline? Give us 3 to 6 months of your life?
Yeah.
And you'll never be the same.
Definitely.
So you're focused on changing people,
changing lives through Christ Jesus.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
And how has the journey been so far for the church?
It's been a beautiful journey. It's been a beautiful journey. We've come to Ghana. When did we come to Ghana? We launched Harvesters in Ghana about 6-7 months ago.
Oh.
And it's been glory to glory. Been testimonies of changed lives, transformed lives, and so on and so forth. And then we're coming here to do Awakening. It's a global program that is happening across all our campuses around the globe.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So then let me come to Ginikachi to talk to me more about awakening.
Yeah.
Why awakening?
All right. Thank you so much for that. I mean, as he has rightly said, as a church, we are focused on changing lives, and we deal mostly with people. So awakening is our 3 days, powerful spiritual renewal and breakthrough. We're in the 9th month, and a lot of people are feeling, down. Their goals for the year haven't been accomplished. So this is the program that we have during our 21 days of fasting. As a church, we're fasting for 21 days. So we believe that as we fast, we pray, we equip people with the word, and that's what happens in awakening. We get people to have their spirits woken up. They go back to their goals, they are re-energized, they are focused, and that is what awakening is about. We already have testimonies. Like we started, yesterday, and we have instant testimonies of what God is doing already.
Wow. So as a church, you're already in the fasting period?
Yes.
Yeah, we've been fasting for 11 days now.
Yes.
Yeah.
10 days to go?
Yes.
10 days
and in this period, that's when awakening is happening.
Yes.
What is the impact you anticipate from awakening?
Reawakening, like he says, is like people that have, been waiting for the Lord for one thing or the other. You know how we start the year with, these are our resolutions, so much energy, but we know how life is, right? Especially in this part of the world, in Africa, right? People get tired, people get, fagged out and all of that. So awakening is primarily to, reignite the passion, right? And we are not a church whereby we just, tell people, come and pray and fast, and magically things will happen. No. Right? As we teach you the word, we teach you practical skills that are relevant in the marketplace that will help you reignite your passion again, right? Aside praying and fasting, we just concluded a program called Harvester Skill Acquisition Program, where we taught over 150 people relevant skills in the marketplace, from digital marketing to photography to makeup artistry and all of that.
So you're into holistic.
Yes.
So it's not just the spiritual aspect.
Yes.
After prayer and fasting, you have to put your hands to work.
Yes. Our vision is changing lives, and we change that through practical things, like you has mentioned, the Harvester Skill Acquisition Program. We equip people with the word, the spiritual aspect, and then we give them tools to go into the, to the world and conquer. So yeah.
Interesting. So talk to me about the awakening itself. Is it a conference? When is it starting? What should we look out for?
Oh yes, it's a conference, and we've started already yesterday, and we're continuing today. But the most interesting part is that here in Harvesters Ghana, here in Accra, Ghana, we're having a live viewing center. tomorrow by 4:30 p.m. at the RV Event Center. So we believe in the gathering of people. So we want to call on everyone to come. Come, let's worship together. Let's ignite all of the goals that you've written down, all of your aspirations, your dreams for this year, 2025. It's not yet over. Like we said today, the year is ending easy. So as we're going into Awakening tomorrow, we're coming back with that passion. We're having the live viewing center. It is going to be mind-blowing. We have, lined up ministers like our Pastor Bolaji Idowu, Apostle Joshua Selman, we have Pastor Nathaniel Bassi, and the like. So it's going to be explosive, and we're calling on everyone to come tomorrow to the RV Event Center, and let's have a great time in God's presence.
Interesting, because, for most people, in September, when they realize the resolutions they made in January are not showing fruits, or they're not showing signs, then you know what? Next year we'll try again.
But like I say, September is the 9th month of the year. Like I say, a woman carries a pregnancy for 9 months. At the 9th month is almost the hardest part. But once she travails, they call it a bundle of joy. So Awakening is that program that Harvesters Ghana has put together, especially here for Ghanaians. Come together with us. The Bible says, do not forsake the gathering of yourselves, right? So I don't even encourage people to stream some of these things at home by themselves. You come together with fellow believers, and we're watching people like our lead pastor, Pastor Bolaji Idowu, Apostle Joshua Selman, Pastor Kodjo Emade, ministers like Pastor Nathaniel Bassi, the atmosphere of worship, the word, and reigniting.
So as it's happening, and we are watching here in Accra tomorrow at 4:30 p.m.
Yes, please.
It's happening in other parts of the world.
Other parts in Houston, in Australia, in Lagos, Nigeria, in United Kingdom, everywhere.
Everywhere.
The Holy Spirit, there's no barrier in the Spirit.
Yes.
And so tomorrow at 4:30 p.m.
Yes, at Airport Residential.
Airport Residential. RV Event Center.
Yes.
That's where we are having the viewing.
Yes.
Who is invited?
Everybody's invited. Mommy's invited. Daddy's invited. The kids are invited. We have accommodation for kids. There's refreshments for everybody when they come. You see, we're a community of changed life, so we come with network and all of that. It's going to be an amazing time in God's presence, for sure.
Now, you've mentioned quite a number of people on the list. Apostle Idowu, Nathaniel Bassi, Joshua Selman,
Sumisola also as well.
Yes,
all
ministering.
Yes.
Bidemi Olaoba.
How much do we have to pay to be a part of this?
Nothing.
Jesus is free.
Jesus paid it all.
Stop that.
Jesus paid it all. So you're just coming to have a good time, a great time in God's presence.
It's free.
Yes, it's free. Totally free.
Because you mentioned refreshments as well.
Yes, it's totally free.
It's totally free.
It's totally free.
Like she said, Jesus paid it all.
Yeah.
We exist. We exist to change lives, and Jesus is our sponsor.
Right.
Like we say, everything is available for everybody to come and enjoy.
Yes.
So to the people out there who are wondering, why should I cease all activities at 4:30 p.m. tomorrow, which is a Friday, and be there? Why should they be there?
If somebody told me I have an opportunity for you to come come to a place where your life, your mind would be set. You see, I always talk to people about mindsets. A lot of reasons why people do not get results is because of where their mind is set. And their mind is affected because of their personal experiences in life. So when you come to a gathering like this, you go out, you come out reignited. You go back to your goals, you go back to your dreams, you go back to your visions. And apart from that, there's grace available in the room. Right? So you were feeling weak and down before. You are going back and you are ending the year strong. I will advise everybody to drop any kind of enjoyment they think is enjoyment on a Friday to come and be in the presence of the Holy Spirit.
Right.
Just to add to that, in the Bible, there was a time where Saul transformed into Paul. That is what happens in Awakening. When you want your spiritual encounter, you want to transition from, the soul, that is your old ways, and you want to move into that prophetic season. This is the place that you want to be at. Tomorrow by 4:30 p.m., there is nothing that should stop you from coming, because God is ready. He's just waiting for people to come to receive what He has already put out for us. And there is no excuse. The devil is to and fro looking for whom to devour, but God is saying, come to me. Like the prodigal son, he threw a party and he's waiting to throw that party for everyone who's ready to receive from him. So it's a call to everyone. There should be no excuse that stops you from coming tomorrow, 4:30 p.m. at the Avi Event Center.
How do we find you on social media?
Oh,
fantastic.
Yes.
Across all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, at Harvesters Ghana.
Harvesters Ghana. That's how we find you and get to connect with you.
Yes. You want to register, you want to sign up, just go Harvesters Ghana. You know, on our bio, you're gonna find a form. If you want to join, we have small groups, right? Yeah. Our small groups are a community of changed lives that actually provide value. So you want a small group for single moms, you want a small group for business people, you want a small group for daily spiritual growth. We have small groups for each and every category of people. Depending on where you are in life, we have a small group for you. Just follow our social media handles and give us 3 to 6 months of your life, like we say, and Harvesters Ghana guaranteed.
Absolutely. And so it's tomorrow, the 12th of September, at the AVI Event Center, and it's at 4:30 p.m. Absolutely free. Come meet Jesus and network with like-spirited people. You know, they say iron sharpens iron. So just come meet another iron and then sharpen yourself. All right, so that's the awakening happening tomorrow, 4:30 p.m. And you and I need to be there to, you know, take it to the next level. We are in the labor room. We need to birth out all those beautiful things that God has deposited in our lives. And ministers from across the globe, please just run me through the ministers who will be ministering tomorrow again. Right.
Selman, Pastor Kodjo Yemade, Pastor Mariwa Agbade, Minister Sumisola, Minister Nathaniel Bassi, and Bidemi Olaoba. So it's a full
international anointing coming together. All right, Ebenezer and Ginikachi, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having us.
At Awakening tomorrow, 4:30 p.m.
Yes,
you have
thank
to
you
be
so
there.
much. Yes.
Right back.
All right.
me just what I need.
Candlelight.
Yeah, I wanted to continue. I don't know about you, but it's telling something. And the beautiful part is that my next conversation is centered on that clouds. You know, we are all chasing some clouds now. Eh? Right, it's a movie that is coming up, and we'll get to know details of that. But fortunately, I've been joined in studio by casts in that particular movie. I have Gabi, I have Rabbi Bray, yeah, but then, and the man Ajiti Anand, they are here in studio with me. Gentlemen and lady, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so I'll start with you, ladies first. Oh, you have a problem with that? Rabbi, so talk to me about this movie, why you decided to be a part of it.
Okay, so first off, I produced it. So I am a part of it as a cast and as a crew member.
Right.
It is a story that talks about our society today. It talks about how people live in a facade. Real life versus social media has merged so much that people start believing in the fake lives they are living. I mean, somebody is living in a single room with their parents, 2 dogs and 3 cats, all in one room with a washroom like 5 kilometers away, and they just posed by a Maserati or a BMW and they feel like they are the next Odogu. And sometimes people feel like going after the fast life, the fast chase, all because of what they see on social media would actually make them prominent, would actually make them the dreams that they feel they are living, that people on social media are living. But in reality, it is not always the case. Sometimes the car is borrowed, and even sometimes the shooters. So you should be content with what you have. And it is a way to preach to the young people out there that hard work actually pays off. It is not about the fast life. I mean, now we have fast food, we have fast cars, and now they want fast lives. Come on, slow down.
Maybe marriages, fast marriages.
Charlie.
Quite interesting. And I like the fact that it's very relevant to society now. By the way, my suit is not borrowed. It's mine. So I'll repeat it tomorrow. But Gabi, talk to me about this beautiful movie.
So like she said earlier on, this movie is talking about the youth today. Very relatable movie where people on social media are trying to learn from other people what they see online, whether it's real or it isn't real. We've coined all of this together, how social media influence people rightfully and wrongly. So this is a movie to urge people to probably go through the normal lifestyle, not the fast lane, to get what they want rightfully.
Interesting. Ajita, you have seen it all. I mean, I've been watching you since I was a baby. Why did you decide to be a part of this?
Well, just to top it up with all that they've said, I think that it resonates with the times that we're in. The social media age. I think that most people are not really sensitized into that space, and therefore everything goes. And yes, and it's understandable that there's a showmanship aspect of social media, and we're not condemning that aspect. But the fact that people want it to be now the norm, that's the reality. We may have issues with that, and people will take advantage of those spaces and capitalize on whatever that they want to do, irrespective of what pain they're causing, what harm they're bringing in. And therefore, this movie gets us to sit up and sometimes even make us even realize that, oh, not all that glitters is gold. And I thought that my conclusion after reading the story was that this is something that everybody has to see. And therefore, for us to be united on that front, these days there's so much fraud going on anyway, from the phone calls where people would want to take your small momo away from you, and same with the social media spaces where there's so many dupes going on. And I've been called to the cybercrime office before for someone who was impersonating me, who duped some Ghanaian American lady, and some thousands of dollars, and it wasn't me, but I helped in the investigation. But this is how people are out there to do, and it also throws it back to us that we shouldn't be gullible, because people can, when we least suspect, take advantage of these spaces and dupe us. And so this really speaks volumes to what we're going through, and not just in terms of the information or the content. It also done in a very, very humorous way, and so it lays with a lot of fun and laughter, while we're still seriously talking about a serious issue, a sensitive issue. Yeah.
Quite exciting there. Barabi, how difficult or easy was it to put this together?
Wow. Movie production is never easy, but with the perfect, I'll call them perfect because my cast were amazing. This is about the third time I've worked with Ajiti as a producer, and he's always on time, he's always disciplined, always professional. My other casts like Van Veka, Bevlin Afaglu, Gabi Official, Yezaki, all of them were so great. And my crew, my director Malex, everybody was so good. So in as much as it was very difficult producing it, they made it feel so easy. Yeah.
Gabi, how easy was it for you to embody your character?
Funny enough, it wasn't too easy, but then I felt comfortable embodying the character because of the kind of people I had around. Because I had, let me say, old players around, or people that are OGs in the industry, and they were able, or they were ready to correct you when you were going wrong. Times that you couldn't pick your line, especially hair. Mm-hmm. I remember when we were taking a scene, I think we had our scene like 7 times.
Hey.
Poking my hand in her eyes, and as long as she was like, you know what? Take your time.
It's a movie.
Take your time. So yes, when I saw the script in the beginning, I called her back. I was like, but you, why? And then she laughed. She's like, I know you can play this, so let's do it. Getting on set, she groomed me, got into the character. And then thank God I had people like Ajete, I had people like Van on set herself. When you're doing something, they direct you, they control you. Even costuming, they'll control, no, wear this. This isn't good, do this. So yes, it was a bit easier for me because of them on set too.
Ajete, you've been, again, in the industry for long. And he said, yes, he had OGs like you on set to make his work easier. But looking at the crop of actors and actresses we're seeing on the scene currently, what would be your assessment of how they're doing, looking at how you guys started?
Well, I think that for the most part, majority, have great potential. But I always throw a caution out there because, once again, because of the age we find ourselves, there's always this, we fall into the quick fix zone where we want everything to happen so quick. Want to be maybe a Jackie appear overnight, for example, without, being mindful, not being mindful about the process. And it is the process that bakes you, is where you make all the mistakes, where you learn, and then you are baked when opportunity comes. But sometimes because of the fast-paced nature, we want to jump that process. And, I have people come into my DM, oh, give me an opportunity, please, and I'll do anything, that kind of thing. And you give an opportunity, and then they realize that, oh, they feel intimidated by who they're going to act with, and then they become nervous. That is learned during the process. And so I'd want to, as much as I appreciate that we have many, we have a lot of potentials in the young people who are out there, they should never forget about taking their time and learning the rudiments, so that they will not repeat the mistakes that we did. I mean, some of them had to learn, some of us have to learn the hard way, and so yes, there's so much great potential, but stick to the process so that.
Do they avail themselves for mentoring from people like you?
Well, some do, and that's refreshing to know. I mean, it's not like we know it all. I mean, there's still boxes that I'm ticking, So when you do, I would guide you, but I'd want you to make your own choices based on information that you have, because it's when you have that information that you can, because you also have to bring your own giftings and knowledge to bear on whatever that you're talking about. It must have a foundation, and so yes, those who do, I am ready to help. Yeah.
And the OGs open to helping the younger ones?
No, you'd be amazed that they are. It's just that they don't have a lot of people knocking on their doors.
Because I thought you guys don't have time, actually.
Well, we do, but there are still ways in which we can do it, and especially when we realize that people are ready to listen and work. I've worked with some characters that you would think that they will not listen because of their backgrounds and all. Especially, I worked with this lady who was Otedele's daughter, who recently got married to Mr. Easy. Temi, right. And you think that from her background, she's done her clout already, So, but here she is, and she's down to earth. She wants us to guide her because it's her first time, and very down to earth, and she'll take instructions and she'll take directions, So, and we have a lot of such characters, even in our industry, and therefore I think that it's a very encouraging to see you. And once you have people like that, the older folks will open up, and to our older OGs too. It's not all of our young people who are disrespectful, who want everything a quick fix. The people who really genuinely need our inputs, and I hope that when they come knocking our doors, we will make time for them.
Absolutely. But Ravi, let me talk to you about how you see this movie positioning itself, because I've had conversations about the industry itself and how it's faring and the challenges of the industry. Regardless of that, you've been able to put this together with the team. So how do you see this positioning the industry?
I believe that this is a good movie. I mean, people tell you they've given up on Ghanaian movies, and when you ask them, when was the last time you watched a Ghanaian movie, they're probably going to tell you 15 years ago. This is the new Ghanaian movie, the new industry. I feel like once people are able to watch movies like this, relate to it, it puts the whole industry in a great position, because now it becomes a representation of what Ghanaian movies are like. So we were very careful in everything, in production, in post-production, to ensure that it represents the Ghanaian movie industry in a very good light. And I believe that once people have a taste of it, they wouldn't go back. They would want more of the Ghanaian movie. So it's actually going to position the industry in a very great light. Yeah.
But does the industry support the creation of movies like this?
I believe so. Like he said, if you go to, let me use the word, your favorite word right now, the OGs. And you listen to them, right. You present your piece to them, they are willing to support it. I mean, if you go on socials, I see a lot of OGs that I grew up watching, admiring, including himself and others, actually supporting this initiative. So I feel the public should also come together. They should take their time in criticizing us. They should support us first. If you give us all the support and we let you down, then you can say whatever you want to say. But if you support us and you give us that great motivation to continue, we would only do better. So yes, the industry is supporting.
Do we have the public appetite for Ghanaian movies now?
Oh, for clouds, I've seen a lot of appetite. I think clouds precedes me as a producer. I've seen and heard people say, "Oh, you did that," as if, "Oh my God, it couldn't have been you." So I feel they do have the appetite for movies like this, and Clout is actually evidence of that, and I hope this appetite continues. It's not like it's going to be an appetizer. Come on, Ghanaian movies are not appetizers. We are the main meals. We are also your desserts. Please jump on it.
Right.
And I think we can only do better.
Okay, so when are we seeing Clouds?
This very Saturday, 13th of September, at the Silverbird Cinemas. For 100 CDs, you get to watch Clouds, and the grand finale of Rabi Starlet on the same night. 6 p.m. red carpet. Please, if you have not clouted your clouting in a very long time, come and clout the clouds at Clouds. So you need to be there on time at 6 p.m. to take pictures with your favorite stars. We are gonna, because it's about social media, we also have a lot of TikTok stars coming around, influencers coming around. It's just going to be a very fun moment. And like he said, in as much as the movie is very educative, it's so entertaining and humorous. See, when you come, laugh, but don't laugh at me too much.
Yeah, really. I'll look for you and laugh at you, because I saw Van Vika in the jacket and then shorts and then Charlie. Anyway, so Gabby, why should people be at the Silverbird Cinemas on Saturday?
You should be at the Silverbird Cinemas on Saturday because you're on social media. Because you see things on social media and you want to be like them. Let me borrow her words. She has something she always tells me. She said, fame or success is not a sexually transmitted disease. People think that, oh, okay, I know Ajete. Probably I'll be there. No, it's not sexually transmitted. And then, yes, if you're on social media, you'd want to learn certain things through this movie so that you know that it's not everybody who will pose by Bentley, by a Range Rover. I can go and stand by Ajete's car and pose, and then you think it's mine. Probably it's not. People actually go and rent Airbnbs, have one night there, and pose as if it's their rooms, which it isn't. Sure. So come to Clouds, come watch a movie, take a lesson from it, come Clouds with us.
Absolutely. Ajete.
Yeah,
I'm giving you the final.
I mean, Charlie, all is said and done. And just come in, let's have a good time. Take a break, come see, the Ghanaian movie that you claim is dying, and probably you change your mind afterwards. So let's meet this Saturday.
So on this Saturday, we're meeting at the Silverbird Cinemas at 6 p.m. Red carpet starts. We are clouting, and you don't want to miss this one. I will be there, so make sure you're also there. It's just 100 Ghana cedis. It can't even buy proper.
You understand?
Yeah. So this Saturday, we're watching Clouds at the Silverbird Cinemas. Be there and enjoy good Ghanaian movie. And let's support it as well. Post on your socials. Make sure that you're visible with Clouds. Let's clout ourselves with Clouds. And that's how we draw the curtains on the show, but we cannot go without doing some birthdays. There are some special people celebrating their birthdays today, so let's say happy birthday. David Ando gave me, thank you for all you do for Albany, and it's from Mom, Dad, Uncle Kwame, Abna, and Grandpa to you. Happy birthday to you, Lawyer Donna Adolfo. But may the good Lord bless him